Jesse, how do you like Austin?
I love Austin. Austin, to me, is the capital city of music in the state of Texas.
Fantastic. Hey, talk about the two-party system, all that race that we talked about at Willie's house today. You know, they're a little bit behind tonight, running late. We may even bow out on little short speeches, just do them right here because they're so far behind. Last backyard here is so crazy. We're out at Willie's all day, having a great time. Take the mic. Tell folks what happened today.
Well, you know, to me, we spent the afternoon with Willie Nelson discussing politics and world affairs and all that, and Willie always gives you a great, honest perspective. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, my last book is Don't Start the Revolution Without Me, and in my opinion, this country needs a revolution. We've got to have one. We've got to take back the government and give it back to the people and start following our Constitution, which was the great document that our forefathers created that makes this country what it is. And it just seems that lately, you know, in the last 8 years or so, we've forgotten what it's like to follow the Constitution, and we got to get back to it. And that's one of the things that I want to lead the country in, is going back to following the Constitution. And, you know, Alex, I'm also doing a TV show right now dealing with 9/11. And
you can't say much, but what can you tell us?
Well, I can say this. I find it very disturbing that the government won't even talk about their version of what happened on 9/11. And I think that we all deserve to know if it indeed was the truth or wasn't the truth. And that's what it's all about, because always remember, Thomas Jefferson said dissension is the greatest form of patriotism. And what he meant was, you need to criticize your government. To criticize your government is not unpatriotic. In fact, it's the opposite. You are a patriot if you hold your government's feet to the fire. And that's what we've got to have more and more of in this country, of holding our elected officials' feet to the fire, demand honesty and demand truth from them, Alex.
We've got a lot of people that think you're not allowed to speak out, that you're only allowed to repeat what's on Fox or CNN. But when this country was founded on going against the status quo.
Well, and the thing is that we have the First Amendment, and the First Amendment guarantees you the right of free speech, but people need to remember, it is not popular speech that it guarantees. It guarantees
all speech.
Unpopular speech, because popular speech does not need protecting, but unpopular speech does. And again, how can you be unpopular when you're simply questioning your government in a country where that should be the status quo?
We were talking about, will the American people stay awake? You know, they're awake with a 9% approval rating for Congress right now, but will they stay awake?
I don't know. I can't answer that, you know. We can do what we can to try to keep them awake, but if, you know, and get them involved. But if they so choose not to get involved, if they don't hold the politicians' feet to the fire, well, it's simple. We will have bad government then. It's plain and simple.
Well, that was a great discussion, what 3-4 hour discussion we had with Willie out of his place up on that mountaintop.
Oh, yeah, he's got a beautiful place. I know Willie's great love for music, because if he didn't have a great love for music, I don't know how he would ever leave his great home here in Austin, Texas, sitting up on the hill. But you know Willie, he goes out over 200 times a year, so he has a great love for music. And Willie's a patriot, because Willie's not afraid to speak his mind. And that's what we need in this country, people who are not afraid to speak out, who are not afraid to question the government. And that's what we need more of. We don't need a country where you go along to get along. Let's remember, our country was founded on revolution.
You know, I found something out new today that you were waterboarded in Navy SEAL and training, other parts of military naval training, and then so you recommended Dick Cheney be waterboarded.
Well, no, I just, you know, in my opinion, having been waterboarded, it is torture in my opinion. And since Dick Cheney had 5 deferments from the military, and you know, do you remember when he was down here in Texas and shot that guy?
Yeah.
Remember that? Well, had Dick Cheney gone into the service, we would have taught him how to use that weapon.
Well, notice the guy said, "Thank you for shooting me."
Well, but the point of the matter is,
sorry,
Alex, there is no accident with a weapon unless you're in combat. There is only negligence. Negligence. So clearly he was negligent.
Remember the guy apologized for Cheney shooting?
I know, and to me, well, when the guy did that, I knew that America was heading down the wrong direction.
Oh,
because
Emperor, I'm so sorry you shot me.
Well, because I've never heard of it before where the guy who gets shots apologizes for it. I mean, if we've sunk to that in this country, then maybe there isn't any hope for us. I'm not sure. But again, getting back to the waterboarding, I think that they should waterboard Dick Cheney, and that way he would have a clear idea on whether it was torture or whether it isn't.
Governor Ventura, have you enjoyed your trip down to Texas?
I loved coming down to Texas, you know, especially Austin, Texas. In fact, I will say this, if I were to ever become a Texan, I would move to Austin because I think Austin, Texas is the greatest place in Texas. It has the most people that think independently like I do, and so I think there's certain places in Texas I probably wouldn't fit in. But I know that Austin is not one of those places. That's why I enjoy coming to Austin. And, you know, right now Texas has the #1 football team in the country, and that's an important thing for Texans because they always love their football, but I would tell them not to hold their breath.
All right, Jesse Ventura, you're headed back to Mexico soon, but you've also got all these TV shows going, so I guess you'll split your time between TV shows in Mexico and surfing.
Well, I'll work on these shows. Hopefully I'll get them done before Thanksgiving. Then I'll head out for Mexico, and I'll continue on my quest to become the most prolific surfer I can at age 57, which, Alex, I might add, is a difficult task.
You're in good shape, my friend. Hey.
Yeah, but you're a lot better when you're in your 20s and your 50s.
Let me just tell the viewers out there, all this week we shot like 4 hours of video with Jesse and with Willie Nelson. That's all going to be on the web. The great part is being invited down here, and we really appreciate Willie for that. But I really want to thank Jesse Ventura because he came down here to campaign for Kinky Friedman, and that's when I met him. And then that was almost 2 years ago. Now he's woken up to 9/11, so many other issues, and he's just a great guy in person and really, really interesting. So, Governor Ventura, we'll be back probably talking later and maybe doing some speeches or something, but I want to thank you for coming down.
Thank you, Alex. My pleasure. Always fun to come to Austin.
Thank you, my friend. We'll be back more live later, folks.
Good? Yep. 3, 2, 1. The Backyard opened in May of 1993 with a concert from Willie Nelson, and it closes with Willie Nelson. It's appropriate, and the guy that brought out Willie Nelson this evening, Jesse Ventura. How'd this come to be? What are you doing here?
Well, I've been a friend of Willie's for a number of years, and when I found out that Willie was going to close down the Backyard, I figured it was time to fly down from Minnesota and get a chance to see the Backyard. I've never seen it before, and so since this is the last night and Willie's closing it down, it was important for me to be here and watch Willie do it.
And it's an awfully nice venue, isn't it?
Oh, it's a terrific venue. I can't understand why they're closing it. I'd be opening it if I were them. Why shut it down? It's a great gathering for people, you know, on the weekends and that. They have a good time, and we need more of that in the country right now. We've all heard enough about the bad times in our country. It's time to get back to thinking positive again and start moving in a positive direction.
And that positive direction for you is anyone but, right?
Yeah, you notice what my shirt says, anyone but. And until we break this trend of electing Democrats and Republicans people and start electing independents, we will get out of the problem that we're in if we do that.
But if we look ahead a week, one of those guys is going to win.
Oh, certainly one of them is going to win, but neither one of them will have my vote. Because, and I urge people that, remember, voting is not picking a horse race. That isn't why you vote. You're voting to pick the person who you most believe can run our country the best. So vote your heart and vote your conscience. And if you do that, then you haven't wasted your vote. It's not about picking a winner, it's about picking the person you most want to run the country.
And in the meantime, there's this politics of, this cross-section of politics and music that we've got here tonight.
Well, there's always been that. You know, music has always been part of our lives, and unfortunately politics works its way into music, which is probably the negative part of music. But then again, music greatly sings about politics too, so they go hand in hand. And my belief is, and I challenge all the singers of today, where are the war protest songs of today like we had in the 60s? It's time for those musicians to get on board.
There he is, Jesse Ventura, and he's here to bring on Willie Nelson, and Willie Nelson is here to close out the Backyard. 16 years of live music. It comes to an end with Willie Nelson, and from here at the Backyard, Andy Langer, News 8 Austin.